Hey, look at that. Diamond and Diamond are our sponsors. They help keep the show live on the air, answering your traffic and police questions. I appreciate them. They are awesome. There are a lot of people who work to keep the show going, and they are awesome too. Oh, Instagram's now working. It's cool. All right, going live here. I had to press a button to trigger it. If you're watching, hey, welcome. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former cop who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And hopefully we're not laggy, but we're going to see what's happening. Switching mice to the other one. If you've got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, you're in the right place because that's what we talk about. It's kind of my thing. I'm a guy who cares about that stuff. And let's get into some TikTok comments. If you're on another platform, please say hey, and we'll make sure we see. I saw Liz who came in and said hello from YouTube. She may not be here because I shut down the stream and brought it back, but we'll see. We shall see. I need some agua. All right. Gabriel says it's a lot better now. Hopefully, I don't know if that was when I first turned it off. Okay, so Jarvis came in with a hello. Moses joined. That's a pretty highfalutin name there. T says it joined. Lunar Field said hello. Brandon, hello. Lenore, how are you doing? Moses says, as long as everyone is filming everyone else, justice will be served. I don't know. I didn't need a camera running on me to keep me honest. I was honest from the get-go. But hey, that's just me. What do we got here? We got Pokey, who says, happy hump day. Boost Lord says, so you're retired from organized crime now. Oh, this is an anti-police person. Yeah, I got no time for you. Sorry. The allegation that police are bad and against everybody and are the criminals when it's so incorrect. But obviously you've had some bad stuff happen to you. Maybe you got caught doing something stupid and someone held you accountable and now you're all pissy because someone gave you a ticket or arrested your dad. If you don't break the law, you don't get into trouble. It's how it works. I know it's funny. What can I say? Let's see. Dirty Fail. That's their name. He says he's a MAGA boy. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. North Spectre says, what is the charge after getting into fender bender while driving with a learner's permit alone? The fender bender is the fender bender, and you can get charged for whatever you did in that fender bender. But driving as a G1 driver unaccompanied, the charge is G1 drive unaccompanied because you need to have a qualified supervisor who has 4 years experience. If you don't have that, it's the charge. It's a $110 fine. It also comes with a 30-day suspension on conviction for your first offense. Second offense, 90-day suspension. Third time, you get kicked out of the program. Start again. Joe King, what's going on, my friend? Long time no see. One of my funniest arrests was of a chap who was very, very drunk. And I pulled him over, and at first he stopped his car, got out, started walking towards me, and turned around, got back in the car, and proceeded to take me on the slowest police chase I've ever been involved in. And it then went down 2 or 3 levels of an underground parking lot where he took 125 turns to park in his parking spot, which was great because it allowed me to block him in and then arrest him as soon as he got out of the car. But he told me I couldn't arrest him because I was on private property. I'm like, but you're under arrest. He goes, but I'm on private property. He was really, really toasted. So that's one of my favorites. Bean says, how much the channel you were on before this stuff? Huh? Not sure what you mean, Bean. How much of? No, I really don't know what you mean. Do you mean like the Toronto Police channel that I used to run when I was a member of the Toronto Police? Try me again. Rephrase. JM says, I used to steal 5-cent candy and hot dogs from the Max beside my junior high. You were taking the gummy Cokes and sour things. Is that what you're saying? I'm glad that you're here to confess. By the way, if you're interested in joining me live, we did this. We had people join the live. I did a little impromptu test of the software, and I can actually host people in the room, even though I'm streaming the way I'm streaming. So it's a pretty cool. I like it. Let's see here. Oh, I still have Liz's comment on there with the hello again. KMS says, aren't you married? Oh, you're going insane. I am married to a wonderful, wonderful woman, and we have kids. And it's not something that you do that it doesn't work with a young man. Weird, but yeah, I don't know where you're going. Liz says, what are your thoughts on what is this? What are your thoughts on alternative uses of high beams and four-way flashers? For instance, a driver wanting to merge at night might high beam them to get ahead. They might tap their four ways to thank me. I don't have a problem with people who tap their hazards for a second to get their attention, flash the lights to say, hey, acknowledging somebody else. It's communication. It's useful. It's generally for safety or goodwill, just making people feel a little bit better. For that, I appreciate it. If you're doing it to blind somebody, no bueno. That's a different story. Okay. What do we got here? Stand by. Baby Yaga wants me to answer their previous question. However, it appears that your previous question was filtered by TikTok because I don't see it. Good evening from cold Florida. Hope you all had a fantastic day. Fun fact, below 7 degrees, I can't drive any of my cars as they have summer-only tires. Did they just turn to stone, your tires? Because interesting, but I hope Florida gets warmer, like soon. Let's keep going here. Someone wants to know about the sentence for murder. Why do you want to know about red rum? So if a driver causes a fatal collision at night and the other driver dies, how would he be charged? Could be careless driving, cause death. Could be dangerous driving, cause death. Depends on the charges. Depends on which way they choose to go. What do you got here? Gabriel says, another Toronto cop said you can get a ticket or pulled over for going past a yellow light. That is correct. A yellow light means stop. If you fail to stop for an amber signal, a yellow light, you have broken the law because you're supposed to stop for it, because yellow light means stop, unless it's unsafe to do so, at which point you can proceed with caution because you have no other choice. So if it goes yellow as you're entering it, you pass the point of no return, you're expected to continue through because locking up your vehicle and causing a collision is bad. But if you are approaching a stale yellow, one that has turned and is obviously going to be red any second, you're supposed to stop. And failing to do so is an offense, similar to that of running a red light. Sada says, reporting theft under 5K from vehicle online with uploading video, what happens after that? So if you report theft, if you're making a report through the portal with the Toronto Police, not sure. It would be routed to the local division for further contact, I imagine. Yeah, I've not been involved with that side of it. Theft of vehicle. It would still be a divisional or squad assigned thing. It wouldn't be a traffic services thing. I wouldn't have seen it. But I assume they assign it to the local division for follow-up. Beyond that, I don't know. Wea says, I sound like Zahir from The Legend of Korra. And of course, that means I now need to go find out what that is. Can I find a soundbite? Legend of Korra? Hang on a second. One moment. What is it? Zahir. Legend of Korra. Assuming they spelled it right. Well, I don't look like him. Zahir's an airbender? Am I looking at the right thing here? Where's audio? That's an ad. I'm watching it. I hope you can hear it. Can you hear it? So far, it's sound effects. Is he going to talk?
The great airbending guru Lahima. What? Guru Lahima lived 4,000 years ago in the northern.
I don't know if I sound like him. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, stand by. Let's go back to where we were. Okay. I wish I could put this on screen so you could see the questions as I see them, but you can't unless you're on YouTube. Then I can. And Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay. Brandon was saying that he can't drive his summer tire enabled vehicles under 7 degrees because his tires get too hard. It makes sense because that's what summer tires do. Do you know people drive in summer tires in Toronto in the winter because they just don't know any better? Okay. I see someone asking me about a trial that's coming up. We're going to come to you in a second. Oh, the driver that was driving that caused the fatal collision died. How would he be charged? They can still lay charges even though they are gone. It sort of just helps the process along. So yeah, they do lay charges for people who are no longer, roaming the planet. And it's all right. Coming back to the TikTok. All right. Are parking/police officers allowed to stop park in no stopping zones to get coffee and lunch? Yeah, actually, they can. Not so much with parking officers. Parking officers can stop in no parking zones in order to do their job. Parking for lunch, there's no urgency. Police officers, if they go in to get food, water, bathroom, and they need to be able to respond to a call, they get a call, they run to it. They have to be in close proximity to their vehicles. And generally speaking, they can do a lot of things while they're working, even though it upsets people. But it's a silly thing to be upset about. Getting bent out of shape because a cop who's working an 11-hour shift, going call to call, and people are worried about whether or not they park in the place they're supposed to, probably just means they got a parking ticket and they're upset about it. Baby Yoga still wants me to answer their question, but I've not seen their question, so they keep tripping the AI of TikTok. All right. Maybe that's the same one. I'm repeating it. Okay. Lunar Field says, don't waste your time with those clowns. You're the best. We appreciate your work. I imagine that Lunar Field is talking about the trolls. I just found out that with this interface, I can now add more moderators, which is always a good thing. London wants to know why I've stopped being a cop. Family reasons. Booze Lord, who's anti-police, would like to join and discuss. We don't want to talk to Booze Lord. Okay, so this is the trial tomorrow for husband. They say he was going 100 in a 70, and 100% he was not. LiDAR, they said. Booze Lord says, ask if it was calibrated before use. Nobody calibrates laser devices before use. They must be calibrated by the manufacturer. They must be tested and ensured they're working before use. They're tested before and after utilization, taking it on the road. You can certainly ask if they tested it, but it wouldn't be calibration. So Boost Lord, or whatever the name is incorrect. If you ask that, they'll just tell you that police don't calibrate them because they don't, and that's okay. Let's see here. It's 15 over. Oh, 15 over is what the prosecutor offered. Should I take the 15 over? We never had a ticket in our life. We are 50. Okay, so let's get back to what you can ask. You can so if you go to trial and you insist that you were not speeding, and that is entirely, if you weren't speeding, you weren't speeding. You can ask the officer to testify, because they'll testify in their evidence in chief. At which point they're going to say, I was set up on this street, I was facing this direction, I had my device, which I tested before and after my enforcement began. It was working as per regulations and manufacturer specifications in the manual, and I'm trained and qualified and all that jazz. When they then say, I saw a vehicle approaching, it appeared to be going above the posted speed limit. I used my my laser speed measurement device to confirm my belief that they were going X number of kilometers. In fact, they were going faster than I thought. That's what's going to happen in court. What are you going to say? I wasn't speeding. How are you going to articulate that you weren't speeding? I wasn't speeding. I don't speed. What else can you say? I looked at my speedometer. I know I wasn't speeding. Is it possible that they got you 20 meters, 100 meters, 400 meters farther away before you saw them? Because these things work at a great distance. It's possible you were speeding where they saw you, and as you approached, you may have slowed down. So I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't in the car with you and your husband, but it's possible that you were speeding, because generally speaking, these are very accurate the measuring devices. But you can also talk about the distance to the road, the angle for which they were set up. But usually that changes things in the other way. Anyway, if they offer you 15 over, you're talking about points with 170 versus 15 over and no points. If you really believe you were not guilty, take it and go for it. Take it to trial, let them testify and ask questions about it. But just that one thing that Boost Lord said would help you wouldn't help. Thanks for the follow. Somebody followed and I didn't catch their name before they disappeared off my screen. Yeah, make it bigger so I can see the names. Okay. Let's get back to it. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer, talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you've got questions, I got answers. We'll talk about it. And if you're someone who wants to jump in and chat live, by all means, we'll bring you on here live. We can have a conversation. Oh, lots of new users, lots of new followers. Thanks for the follows, guys. And gals and people and stuff. Wicked says, step number 2, check notes and make sure nothing is missing as part of the elements of the offense. This is Wicked making suggestions as to what you can do. Well, obviously, if you have a trial, have you received disclosure yet? You're entitled to disclosure. If you've not, if you didn't know you were entitled to disclosure, you can go to trial and say, I'd like disclosure because I have no idea what the case is against me. I haven't seen the evidence. I haven't seen the officer's notes. You don't go to court and expect to get that in court. You apply for that in advance. Now, it might be that you don't want to take another day off work. You've already booked it. It's done. That in that case, you may want to just, ask for a recess, read the notes, and go forward. But if you read the notes and you want time to get professional legal advice, then you need to put it over to another day, which could be costly for you because you have to come back to court. Mike says, someone's upset that I might be getting money from having worked a career. Sounds like they don't like the idea of pensions. Anyone can have one. It's called contributing to a savings account that's invested on your behalf. Anyway, this is 27,926. They say, hello, Sean, not a traffic related, but I am trying to apply for auxiliary unit. Any advice? The auxiliary police is a fantastic way to volunteer. If you're looking for an amazing volunteer opportunity, as they are, I wholly endorse the auxiliary program, regardless of what police service you're applying to. I was an auxiliary officer first. There was a hiring freeze. I couldn't be hired as a police officer. I applied to the auxiliary. I had a great time. I did auxiliary for 12 years. Even after I became a paid member as a court officer, a special constable, I continued to volunteer as an auxiliary because it's so rewarding. It's a great way to be involved in your community, to give back. And I think that if you're looking for something that's interesting to an interesting way to do it, like it's the front seat to everything police without giving up your 9 to 5, without changing your life, without writing copious reports. You dip your toe in the water and see if policing's for you, or just enjoy it. Like I had a good friend, Tim, who sadly passed away last year, and I think he was 34 years as an auxiliary. Loved it. That was his hobby. Didn't have kids. He and his wife worked for the service, or works for the service, likely still today, and he volunteered and loved it. So it's a great way to go. It's just a matter of what you like. Okay, let's see here. So you did get the disclosure. Cool. They said they have video, and my husband says he wasn't sure how fast he was going. Oh, in terms of when he was pulled over, like, do you know how fast you were going? I don't like that question. We don't generally ask it. Nothing wrong with it, I guess. I'll come back to you if you've got more dialogue there. But first, Lunar Field says, what's currently the leading cause of traffic fatalities in Ontario? And the answer is shitty drivers, impaired, and weather. Were you asking, giving me options? People who choose to speed up the ante. They ensure that even minor collisions, what would have been a minor collision is a fatal potential collisions, which is terrible. So speed is a huge factor. Entitlement is another. Patience. People are always stressed out in a rush and distraction. Distraction is huge. It's leading to so many collisions. But speed is the one that's turning them into fatals more often than not. Mike says, Sean, you pulled me over 2 years ago. My court date is next week. I'm guessing it's getting dismissed. is it me who pulled you over or my twin? I have a twin, sort of. I have someone who looks a lot like me, who is in the motor squad. Wouldn't have been me, but I get calls all the time saying, I just saw you on the highway. Like, I've been retired for 2 years. So it certainly wasn't me who wrote you a ticket because I've been off the job. I haven't written a ticket in 2 years. I haven't written a ticket in 5 years, 6 years maybe. In fact, I haven't written a ticket since 2018. So, Mike, I appreciate your attention, but it was not me. Let's see here. Nicholas wants to know if I am going to the auto show this year, and yes, I will be going to the auto show. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be in and about. I don't know my exact schedule yet, but I'm going to help out with the Toronto Police whenever I'm there. I'll hang out with them just because I want to hang out with my buddies. But I will be there making some appearances. Maybe we'll do a meetup at one of the days. I don't know yet. Let me know. I should do I should put up a post and try and get an idea of when people are going to be there and try and coordinate a couple of meetup opportunities at the show because I think that'd be awesome to meet some of y'all. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Peters. Evening, Sean. Do police have rights on private property if you don't stop at stop signs like a shopping center? So police can pull you over. You can't ignore police if police are trying to stop you, whether it be to investigate you for a Highway Traffic Act offense or a criminal offense. Yeah, lights go on, pull over. If you don't stop, that's a problem. Can they lay a charge on private property? Depends on the charge. If you're talking about charges of careless driving or stunt driving, then absolutely yes, they can. They can also charge you for dangerous driving. So you've got careless, dangerous, and stunt, all of which apply on private property. Stop signs don't qualify for stop sign offenses, but they could qualify for careless driving offenses. At the end of the day, minor stuff on private property, you're probably not going to see any attention. If you are going to push the envelope and do really dangerous stuff on private property, yeah, you can definitely be charged. And the consequences are the same as if you were on the road. Is it true you can get life imprisonment if you get a second-degree murder charge in Canada? I don't know if that's happened. Well, nobody gets anything in Canada, but is it potential? I'm sure it's a potential. I'd have to look it up to see exactly whether or not that life is an option for second degree. But even, what's life, 25 years? Come on. Okay. Liz says, I can put this on the screen. Did it go on screen? There it is. I usually do a circle check before I start driving. One thing that I do is chip at the snow that accumulates in the wheel well. Does it actually help to remove the accumulated snow? And okay, so first of all, the accumulated snow can do all sorts of things. If it's in the wheel well, probably less of an issue. I like to get rid of it because I like OCD about it, like chipping away at it too. If it's in the wheel itself, could it cause an imbalance? Like if it was in your changing the balance of your tire, I don't know how long that's going to last, but potentially it could cause some weird, imbalance. My big thing is I do a circle check too, and I want to get everything clear. The headlights, the taillights, the license plates. I want to make sure everything is clear before I go. Okay. Jeremy Benoit says, aren't you retired now? I am. I'm retired from policing. I'm not retired. Like I'm not watching grass grow every day. I have started a not-for-profit called Better Traffic Safety and Education. The Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. We're sponsored by Diamond and Diamond. I get to do this and press the button to bring the Diamond and Diamond logo up. Hey, there you go. They're our sponsors. Thank you to them for helping keeping us on the air and doing what I do. So we're all about education and keeping this show on the air, helping you answer your questions. We do so much more on the radio, television, and in podcasting side of things, helping people message. So in various areas. I'm a busy dude now. Big Dad 987, thanks for the follow. Okay. Okay. Mike, something that Mike was asking earlier, thinking that I may have given him a ticket 2 years ago, wants to know if the officer needs to show up in order for the ticket to go through. And here's an interesting thing. If it was in Toronto, they'd probably dismiss it if the officer didn't show up. But if you're in Durham or York Region, they will proceed based on the face of the ticket. A lot of people talking about it in the media. A lot of people in the industry who don't like the idea of the courts proceeding simply on the ticket face. So what do you think? What do you think? Do you think that the officer should have to show up, or do you think that it's not necessary, that we should just be able to go by the paperwork filed? Mike is insistent that I pulled him over. It's not possible. Not 2 years ago, anyway. Let's see here. Unless it was I was the passenger in a car, but I wouldn't have written a ticket then. Okay. Anyway. Boom, boom, boom. What do we got here? Hey, Tracy, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in, saying hey. We got, why don't driving tests include a colorblind test? 8 out of 10 men aren't they? I don't know the percentage of people who are colorblind, nor do I think that color blindness on its face is enough reason for someone not to drive. You know the placement of a green and a red light, red being the middle, right? Red is on the top, yellow in the middle, green is on the bottom. Thus, if you, based on orientation of the light, you know which one's which. I don't think anyone would say, I thought it was red when I thought it was green, so I went. But anyway, I don't think that's a reason to keep people from driving, but maybe it is that a lot of people, would be a lot less traffic if 8 out of 10 people were colorblind and they weren't allowed to drive. The man himself, or one man himself, says, I just seen someone flexing an ARP on live in Toronto. Is that illegal? An ARP? What is it? I'm not familiar with ARP as a thing. You'll need to fill that one in for me. Asterix says, hey back. And Wicked says, same across Canada, speed is the leading factor. Right on, right on. Steve, thanks for the follow. Okay. Rye Guy, we talked about that. Gershan says, I got pulled over doing 90 over. Now I got court summons. Shouldn't have stopped. No, Gershan, you shouldn't have sped. 90 over, you're lucky you weren't arrested and charged criminally, because 90 over is totally effing irresponsible. Where were you? What was the speed limit? I don't even want to know. Yeah, stunt driving is what you got and you deserve. Listen, first of all, not stopping doesn't work anymore. They have helicopters. They have friends. You don't outrun a radio. And you increase the charges like big time. But people make bad decisions. You made a bad decision when you chose to go that fast, but whatever. Okay. What do we got here? 8%, 1 in 12. Okay, still pretty high. Yes, 8 out of 10 is 80%. That would be a lot. But I'll tell you, the traffic would be amazing, or there wouldn't be any traffic. Melody says, snowpack in the wheel well can affect steering and suspension. Cool. I was on there. Melody, what's going on? Melody is a mechanic, the magical Melody mechanic. That doesn't work. Melody the mechanic is magical. That works better. Let's see. Gunnar here. Did you come in last time and ask if I was related to Ben Shapiro? Now you want to know if I'm related to Mark Shapiro? I don't know if I don't know who Mark Shapiro is. I might be related to him, but I don't think I am. And I don't know if it was you who asked, but somebody asked me if I was related to Ben last time I was on the live stream. Let's see here. Wicked says, I do both Quebec and Ontario. Quebec, we don't have to testify. Ontario, we usually have to. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. So Quebec, they just proceed on the face of the ticket. Interesting. Max Scoop says they should definitely have to show up. Why? Why should they have to show up? Why do people get to play the game? That's what court is more often than not. It's not. See, people don't like getting caught, and then they don't like getting convicted. So they go to court to roll the dice and hope that the officer doesn't show up. And it works for a lot of people. But is it the right thing to do? You're wasting court money, which is taxpayer money, which is my money and your money. But why am I paying for your ticket? You're the one who broke the law. If you're legitimately innocent, I support going to court. But how often are people legitimately innocent when it comes to traffic offenses? Police are not writing tickets to innocent people. Do they make mistakes on occasion? Are you just hoping to catch a mistake to get off so you're not responsible? I think so. What is this? I see some. I was not paying attention to Instagram, and I have some questions there. Kuma says, in my 30 years, if we didn't show up, it was dismissed. In Toronto, for sure. Beef. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. 90 over and complaining. This is so irresponsible. Yes. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand why people do 90 over in the first place. And if you do, you just sort of say, yeah, screwed up because, I rolled the dice and I lost. Nicholas says, I'm guessing you would not know if they would dismiss the ticket in Ottawa. I don't know what they would do. I don't know how the courts play the game in Ottawa. But again, if you're just rolling the dice to see what happens, like if it doesn't cost you anything to go and try, everyone's entitled to go. But I wouldn't bank on it being like they have a dedicated traffic enforcement unit there. They're pretty serious. They're also paid to attend court. They're also obligated to attend court. They have to, unless they're excused by sickness or other more pressing responsibility that they're required on the road for some major event. Okay. Oh, Brandon's going to be in town for the auto show. Awesome. Well, then definitely I know who I'm having lunch with at least one day. We've been talking about having lunch for like a year. But we're going to do it if you're going to be at the auto show. What is an example of dangerous driving versus careless driving? Careless driving is less serious. It is something that is careless. It's not the intent. It's not something you know is dangerous to do. It's something that is a combination of things that is dangerous or unsafe and generally considered careless. I mean, I don't know how to describe it any better. One has the intent. I'm going to do something so dumb and so dangerous. And I know it's dangerous because you have to know it's dangerous, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like Dum Dum who did 90 over. That is something where criminal dangerous driving charges could be laid. 100%. Careless driving could be at a much lower speed. And it might be, drinking water while going 10 or 20 over and trying to pass someone. The combination of events is careless. The average person wouldn't do that. But it wasn't criminally negligent or criminally intentional. I don't know. This is the worst description ever. But I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. I hope. It's a lot of it has to do with the level the average person would be doing. All right. Jay wants to know if Ontario has a no chase law for motorcycles. It's generally considered policy whether you chase or not. I don't think there's a law that says thou shalt not chase a certain type of vehicle, and it all depends. What's at risk? What are they doing? Do they have the codes to the football? That's an American reference. I don't think we have a football. Do we even have a soccer ball? I don't think so. I made myself laugh a little bit, but it wasn't that funny. Okay, I was more enthused than I thought. The deal is if there was a life at risk, like you had to get that person because they had a child in their arms and they were running on a motorcycle, changes the dynamics of it. That's a really bad example because you're still putting the kid into. Generally speaking, it's not worth the squeeze. The juice ain't worth the squeeze because what's going to happen is someone's going to get seriously hurt, and it's probably going to be the person you're chasing, and then the police are going to eat it. They're going to be responsible or sued or be thought of negatively. So generally speaking, we take the priority, the risk to public safety as a priority, and we don't chase a lot of the vehicles that should be chased. In the States, I love it. They chase them till they crash them. People don't leave. They roll them 6 times. They go right to the morgue. Interesting, different way of doing things. Very final. We don't do a lot of pit maneuvers and crashing people off the road. I'm shocked at what some of the American services do. But it works once. Then there's, I don't know how it works there. It's just amazing to me. Anyway, here we tend not to chase unless we absolutely have to. We are sooner going to figure out who it is, where they live, and go meet them at their house, if we can. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to take someone's life for speeding, minor offense. But if it was, again, something really major, maybe. Never say never. Don't run assuming they won't be chasing you. That's probably a good way to go. Okay. Nicholas says, one way to never get pulled over is to buy a better car that is slow and you won't get pulled over. Buy a better car like what? Like buy something luxurious that's comfortable, that you enjoy being in, so you're not trying to outrun anybody or you just look good going slow. I don't know. I mean, there are cars that you get in and they are go fast cars. If you buy a McLaren and you never go over 60, I'm disappointed in you. but at the same time, it's a dumb car because why are you buying that car to drive it? Like, it doesn't make sense for city driving. I don't understand it. I think it's a dumb car. And I don't think I'd fit inside of it. So that's probably why I'm so anti-McLaren. Mind you, I've seen some pretty terrible wrecks involving beautiful cars. And it is a beautiful car. Canadian flag, because you have no icon or other text, wants to know, former, since when? Since 2024, September 2024 is when I left. Well, end of August. User Lots of Numbers says, I got say, you are so pleasant and great voice. Thank you very much. OK wants to know why I retired, and the answer is family. Oh. Nick is a scammer who says he's paying $5,000. We're just going to block Nick. Goodbye, Nick. Oh, Melody already blocked Nick. Melody's on it. I'm late to the game. Johnny McInnes says, does heavy equipment, X-loaders, backhoes, need anything to legally drive on the road? Well, first of all, they need a slow-moving triangle business, or the triangle that says it's a slow-moving vehicle. Now, in terms of how it's insured, it's not insured for the road. Those are implements of husbandry or road building equipment when they're used as such. They can't just drive around. They're not legal for the road. They do a lot of things, but they're like, if they're working on something directly on the road, they have a permit to be there. There's reasons they need to be there. But generally speaking, they're not drivable on the road. I remember in the town I grew up in, just north of Toronto, there was a guy who drove a tractor to the mall every day. He had no license, and he had some medical condition. It was the thing. He did it. I don't think it was legal. Wicked says, I'm in Ottawa. We are to show up. Otherwise, they're tossed in general. Good to know. That's for tickets in the Ottawa area. XCK248. I forgot my license if I forgot my license when I drive, is it true I can go to a station and show it within 24 to 48 hours? That was the thing when I was a kid, before computers, because the ticket was in the station and they could hold off on processing it to give you a chance. They also didn't have the same computer system to be able to instantaneously validate whether or not you were licensed. Maybe in small towns they have a policy for that. They do not do that in Toronto. You are ticketed at the moment because you committed the offense at the moment. So you get a ticket when it happens, not a day later. And it doesn't get undone just because you had it at home, because we can verify in the car that you have it. You just didn't have it with you, and you're required by law to surrender it upon demand of a police officer for reasonable inspection. So you don't get a chance later. OK says he meant beater car, not better. I'm glad we've clarified that. In a comment earlier, someone said, if you want to avoid getting tickets, buy a better car. At least I could swear I read better. And I've been corrected. It's beater, not better. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, can you tap the screen till your fingers go numb? Send some likes this way. Get some more people into the party. Get some more interesting questions. Not that these aren't interesting, just, but more people, more opportunity for different questions. And please like, follow, share, regardless of the platform. We're currently on a number of platforms. I'm broadcasting horizontally and vertically. I'm actually sending vertical and horizontal images to YouTube, which is kind of cool. That's new. I'm sending vertical video to TikTok and Instagram and Twitch and Kick and Rumble. Like I'm trying to give every platform what they need to be happy. This is interesting. Wicked brought up something I've never heard of. We're going to come back to that in a second. I just want to roll back. I don't want to skip anything, so I'll never find it again. Okay. I'm making sure I don't miss anything. What do we got here? What does escalating sanctions mean under vehicle impound section 55.2? So novice escalating sanctions, but under vehicle impound? Hang on. Because the novice escalating sanctions generally refers to the fact that you have 30-day suspension the first time you have an offense with 4 points or more, 90-day suspension the second time, third time you get kicked out of the learner's permit process, or the G1, G2 process, or young persons too. But in terms of vehicle impound, I don't think there's any relatable connection. Let me see. No, there's no W in that. Escalating. No, I can't do a quick lookup on it. I have to look at the act to see. Maybe I just look under section 55.2. Yeah, I can't look it up from this view, so it will take more work. If you want, I can look into it further. Just email me at ASKaTrafficCOP or at Gmail, I should say. Can you please explain roundabouts? Do I need to use a blinker exiting one? Yes. Yes, you are supposed to. Nobody does, but you're supposed to indicate where you're exiting. Entering, you're just going straight and the road happens to turn. But when you exit, you are to indicate, and that really helps people who are, coming in and they want to know if you're about to turn in front of them and they have to yield to you, or if you're exiting. And you are exiting, you're signaling a change in your direction, because not exiting would be following the road in circles forever. Hopefully that answers your question. Now, 2-lane and 1-lane, that's even more confusing. And I see it wherever I see roundabouts, I see people doing it wrong when it comes to multi-lane. The outside lane is to exit immediately, and an inside lane continues to the next opportunity to exit. Okay. I see is a non-tinted plate cover legal? That's from Cabby Gill 1000. And Wicked already answered in the chat, but I'll tell everybody else who's not reading the chat that it's not legal to cover your plate in any way, shape, or form. No license plate cover, no license plate frame, no reflective, no tinted, no neon, no color, like nothing. Bare plate is the only way that's legal. License plate frames from your friendly neighborhood dealership that sold you a car and wants to advertise for free forever on your vehicle, not legal. They don't care though. It's not legal. Does Ontario, we talked about that. That's so funny with the beater car versus better car. I see beater. It's BETER. That's why I thought it was better. I figured they were missing a T, not an A. But whatever. We talked about this. Okay, this is where Wicked was talking about. I thought it was interesting. Thanks for the follow, Wyatt. So Wicked says, in Quebec, the person that disputes the ticket has to pay court fees, and extra, they are guilty. What a good way to go. I like that. Nobody will like it if they're not intent on winning, or if they don't think you don't roll the dice if you just increase the amount you pay. I think, see, most of the offenses, and people don't realize this, when you take a ticket to court and has a, what is it called? A set fine. $110 ticket set is the set fine. It's $85 plus $100. The victim fine surcharge comes to $110. But most of those charges have the ability to have a maximum of $1,000, $500, $1,000, depending on the charge. I think that you should open up yourself to the eligibility for the $1,000. I mean, you do, but rarely do they put it there. I think they should put it there. If you come to court, know that you might be fined $1,000 for the same offense, as opposed to the set fine. Now see if you want to come to court. Because so many people are just rolling the dice to see if they can get away with something that they're absolutely, and they know they're absolutely responsible for, but they don't want to pay. Nobody wants a ticket. I get it. I'm moving this over here so I can actually see it. Hang on. Where'd it go? Oh, shit. Where'd it go? Well, I don't know where the heck I went. How do I undo that? I just lost my Instagram window. What the heck just happened there? Can I get it back? Sean broke his computer. Hang on a second. Okay, I brought it back. Whew. Okay. We talked about this. They told me even if the cop doesn't show up, it doesn't matter because it's certified evidence ticket. Is that in Ottawa? It depends. It depends where you are, as we were talking about. What's the legal age and limit to drive after consuming alcohol? 22 with a G-Class license. Cannot be 21. You must be a fully licensed G-Class driver and 22 years old. Joe wants to know why so many tickets are exactly $110, because their base amount is the same. And the victim fine surcharge is based on the base amount, so it's the same. And that results in the same ticket number. They tend to all be the same. Very few tickets are other than 110, in fact. Used to go to the Detroit Auto Show all the time. TO's a little far. I need more agua. It's far for you, yes. I can see Detroit being faster, quicker, closer. Wicked says the real police answer is it depends, and Sean can attest to that. That depends is really the standard answer. User says, so does cop have to be at the trial? There's Zoom, and it also says certified evidence. So Zoom, they don't have to be physically in court. Zoom changed the game. Having a remote testimony is awesome because cops don't physically have to be there. Uh-oh. I'm glitching for this user. Let's see here. What's the fine for motorcycle driving in between cars and traffic on the highway? That's Johnny Boy asking. Depends. Another depends answer. Now we've opened the can of depends, and it depends all day long. The answer is that it could be careless. That's the lowest bar. Could be stunt. Could be criminal dangerous. All depends on what the observations of the officer are. All depends. At the end of the day, don't do it. It's not legal anywhere in Canada. And it's only legal in the United States in 5 states. Everywhere else, it's illegal. Jay says, GSP, Georgia State Patrol definitely finds the chase is worth it. Always intense videos from them. Yes. They're machines out there. They take no guff. I'm always amazed at what coppers in the South do on these chases. And they win. They tend to win. 123 wants to know if I miss my job. Well, I'm still doing a job. I'm just doing a different job. In fact, I'm not doing a different job. I'm getting paid differently. I'm investing my own time and energy because I want to do this as opposed to doing it for a paycheck. I mean, I was always doing it because I wanted to help people, but the difference is that it's not because the Toronto police told me to do it. In fact, they never really told me to do it. I was just doing it. But I do miss being there and having access to my friends and my police family. It was very much a huge part of my life. I still do this because I enjoy doing it. Maybe Jonathan says, is it possible to get a tour of TSV to look at the cool cars and learn more about policing and stuff? You could probably reach out to them and try and coordinate something. They're not tough to talk to as long as you tell them why you want to come down. You're a fan of police. You want to join the auxiliary, something like that. Okay. Lunarfield says, how frustrating is it for officers when enforcement is limited by weak laws? Laws don't have to be specific. You don't need a law for everything. You need laws that allow you to articulate why the law as written covers the events as you see. Careless driving is a law that doesn't specify every act within it. You can have a lot of different things that qualify as careless. It's just about how you articulate yourself. Aiden says, you sound like that YouTuber Mark. I don't know who the YouTuber Mark is, but I have been told I sound like a few people. And apparently if I call a friend who knows a lot about this stuff, there might be a couple people who have a pawn shop that I might sound like one of them. Allegedly. Okay. I saw a new market pop up. I'm trying to catch up to where we are. Lunarfield says, people who drive without their licenses and think that showing a picture of it is adequate. No, that does not work. It might work for somebody who doesn't want to write you a ticket. Like they're just looking for a reason not to. You look like... The fact is, we know who you are. Like we get a picture of you too. So if you give us enough information, we can figure it out. It doesn't mean that you deserve a break. You broke the law. You didn't do the right thing. You could get a warning, but you could get a ticket. La Cowboy wants to know what the law is about snow on the roof of a semi-truck trailer in Ontario. See a lot with more than 12 inches. There's no specific law that says thou shalt not drive with roof snow. There is technology there for truck drivers and trucking companies who care about safety, and they want to make sure that those trucks are clear before they enter the road. But the truth is, if you were to drive with that giant sheet of ice and snow on the roof and it starts to melt or it starts to shake and it flies off the roof of that vehicle and lands on somebody, causes a collision, hurts somebody, that trucker is responsible. You can be charged. It's insecure load. It's unsafe. Could be careless driving. It's not careless driving, but I would go by way of insecure load. Maybe it's careless driving. Can I swing that into careless? They knew there was snow. They looked at the snow. It's undeniable. There's 12 inches of snow. They chose to drive anyway. Ooh, could it be dangerous? I don't know. I don't think it would hold up. But could you lay the charge? Sure, it becomes a triable thing. Michi wants to know if I know what 300 blackout is. Yes. Yes, I do. Why do you want to know? Or why do you? This is the test to know if I know about firearms. Wicked says some units. Oh, Michi for munitions for carbines. Johnny says if you are the passenger in a vehicle on a traffic stop, you have to surrender your license or ID. Only if you have, or if you're being investigated for an offense. You weren't wearing your seatbelt, or it's alleged that you were not wearing a seatbelt, you have to ID. Not IDing or refusing to ID could mean that you could be arrested. If you're talking about, what would be a scenario? If you were looking at, what's my watch telling me? It says 10 o'clock. That's what it's telling me. Yeah, if you weren't wearing your seatbelt, if there's alcohol or drugs in the car, and then you'd have to surrender you'd have to identify yourself. Not you'd have to use a driver's license, but you have to make yourself identifiable. What is this? Just terrible wording in Shield Basic. That's white. For which charge is it terrible wording? But the wording in Shield Basic is a short form wording, and they've whatever mechanism they've used to write that. It's not the long form from the act. So I'm curious how they come to the short form wording. If they're using it from it. Oh, I see. Join my fan club. Somebody, I don't even know how that happened, but I got a gift. And then I saw an icon appear on my head. Thank you to whoever that was. Oh, it was Berg Moot Cup. Thank you very much. Any monies that come in from the live stream goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, which is a not-for-profit. And we're trying to do good things with it. Who is it? I don't know who that is. Okay. KB44, thank you. Lando, I don't know what the Braille you typed in means. I cannot decode Braille. Maybe I need to. BDC says, I was pulled over and ticketed for faded plate. I got new plates and the ticket was thrown out. Yes. It's not a fix-it ticket because there are no fix-it tickets here, but that is effectively a fix-it ticket. If we don't lay the charge, if police just say, here's a warning, inevitably, nobody does anything. They just keep driving and they hope for another warning. If you get a ticket and someone tells you, probably if you fix it, they'll withdraw it, it encourages you to do the right thing and fix it. Johnny Boy says, what's the charge and fine for driving a motorcycle? We talked about that. You asked it twice because I guess it took a while until I read it the first time, but yeah. BDC says, the officer showed up to court with plate covers on the front and back of their personal vehicle. Was that the charge? Oh, that's gross. I have no, how do I say this nicely? I don't think cops should get any free pass for plate covers or tinted windows. A lot of people say they need to be anonymous. No, they don't. Don't do that. Canadian Bacon, how you doing? I thought this was too late for you to be up. Canadian Bacon said, that they run on mom time, and it was 10 o'clock last time, so it's 10 o'clock now. Canadian Bacon, if it's the same Canadian Bacon, and I hope it is a Canadian who's been living in America for about a year and a half. I think that's what you say in your videos. And I've been really enjoying all of your videos. Great content. You should follow them. Okay. The officer showed up there. Country Chaos wants to know what happens if you're riding a horse drunk. In Canada, not a whole lot. I mean, you can get public intoxication, possibly putting in a cruelty to animal kind of situation. There's a potential inroad for that, but it's not against the law. But in Canada, there's no impaired horseback riding charge, but it is against the law in some states. In fact, about 25 states. I looked it up. Johnny Boy says it's a DUI regardless. It's not. It depends on where you are. And in the States, it's different state to state. That charge is not global. Criminal offenses aren't global across the United States. They're state charged. Even red rum is a state charge, which is wild. But mail fraud, that's federal. Agri says, when you are an active police officer, do you and your colleagues use come on. They're making questions that are silly. No, the N-word's not appropriate anywhere at all, ever. I don't know people who use it. Mind you, I do know a lot of rap songs that use it, but I can't, that word disgusts me because it's wrong, in my opinion. Johnny Boy failed to drive with a single lane. Failed to drive within a single lane? I'm not even familiar. I'm not familiar with that. You made my brain derail. 154. I don't see that charge in that wording. There used to be failed to drive in marked lane in Ontario. That's been withdrawn or amended or what's it called? Another word for gone. It was what the heck's the word? Anyway, it's a word that is not coming to mind, but there's a word that means that. They got rid of it. And it bugs me because it was a good charge. Okay. Someone named Sean, spelt the right way, the way I spell it. They said, are there dirty cops in Ontario? Not just a question, because I know there is. So you're making an allegation, but you're framing it as a question, but then you're saying it's not a question because it's an allegation. Your writing is, but I'm sure there's dirty everyone. There's dirty lawyers and dirty doctors and dirty accountants and there's dirty people because people are human and sometimes they slip through and get hired. And when they get hired in any career or any profession, they eventually get caught and then they get prosecuted, as they should, because there's no space for dirty anything. And I mean dirty being corrupt. And Johnny Boy, you're welcome. Maybe Jonathan says, thank you, Sean, for the advice. Connor A4 says, hey, Sean, are peace officers allowed to pull plates without probable cause? The plates belong to the province. Police officers on certain charges have the authority from within that charge. Like in the writing of that says seizure authority is granted. So it depends on when. One of those would be unsafe motor vehicle. If your vehicle is unsafe, they can pull the plates, send them back to the ministry, and then you can go apply for new plates. Yes, yeah. Pull plates is seize plates. The certified evidence thing, York Region, do it. No cop needed to show up at all. Yes. It's a very interesting concept. Connor says, like, run your plates in their system. No, you said pull plates. Pull plates is, okay, you're saying pull plates in terms of running a check on your plates? Yes, they can run plates on every vehicle they see. No cause needed. Just running them because we're checking to make sure it's licensed, owned, permitted for use on the road, and, just checking. Suspended drivers, any kind of alert. That's just the thing. But in terms of seizing the plates, you said, okay, so our terminology, your question and my answer were not aligned. So yeah, police can run plates. In fact, police are running plates all the time because ALPR, automatic license plate readers, are in operation across the province. Just driving around, your plates are getting recorded and checked against the database for wanted stuff and things. What was the age of the oldest recruit when they joined the police force? I don't know this is from Mo Christine Hickey. I don't know who the oldest person or the oldest recruit it was, but in my class, there was a 52-year-old in the class. Okay. Connor says, thanks for clearing that. They were thanking Wicked, who answered in the chat faster than I got to. But thank you for clearing that up. Cop followed me, then randomly pulled me over. Well, the thing is, you don't need to commit an offense under the Highway Traffic Act in order to be pulled over, because we can pull you over to check if your license is valid, your plates are up. Well, it's license, that you're licensed, insured, and sober are the standard reasons, and that your car's safe. And then Connor says, plates didn't match because I just bought in the car. You had just purchased a car and the plates didn't match. That's a problem, because the only way you can use plates from another vehicle is if they are in unattached status, which means they had been removed from another vehicle, no longer affiliated with another vehicle, and then you put it on yours. I have a plow on my ATV and I live in town. Can I ride it? The answer is no. Well, it depends. Actually, I say it depends because some jurisdictions, some places allow permitted, like licensed ATVs to be on the road. Cities like Toronto do not. What is this? The Cowboy says, thanks for the answer, because in Quebec, snow on roof is a direct big fine. I think it should be. Thanks, Jar, for the rose. I think it should be a fine. And I think that although we can write it in a roundabout way to get it done, a specifically or an explicit offense, it makes sense. It's not smart. Oh, it's different Canadian bacon. Well, that's just wrong. No, it's okay. Canadian bacon's a great username. The other Canadian bacon, we're friends online. So I assumed you were her. I didn't see the bearded icon. Definitely not her. Let's see here. Wonder Polar. I didn't see the whole name, but Polar something, just follow it. Thanks for the follow. Wonder Jones Production says, can you help clarify accessibility parking permit exemptions? I see people parking and no parking. Yes. You are allowed with an accessible permit. You're allowed to park in a no parking zone. You cannot be within 9 meters of an intersection, but you can be in a no parking zone. You cannot be in a no stopping zone or a no standing zone. Those are not permitted. But no parking zones, they can park there, and they can park contraflow, which means where everybody else has to be parking with their passenger doors, the right side of the vehicle against the curb. Someone with an accessible permit can park with the driver door against the curb, meaning they can go the wrong way and park. And that's a weird thing that sticks out in my memory, but it's legal because they may not be able to access the vehicle or get to their destination any other way. I think Aaron Urquhart told me that, and it just stuck. Or I read it somewhere and it stuck. But it's stuck, and that's what counts. Lunarfield says or asks, have you seen the news about 8 Ontario commercial driver examiners involved in bribery? No, but I believe it. I didn't see the news, but I know it's been corrupt for a long time. There's a lot of people who should never have been allowed on the road in the first place. Wicked says one of the recruits at 46 years old. Cool. Sean, different Sean, says Ontario here. Right on. Have you seen the? Oh, we talked about that. Oh, and okay, cool. Okay, so I'm reading comments in my head and not sharing what's being said. Oh, here we go. Pushing Limits 2621 says, how do you keep up with daily law without being in the department anymore? Much love for your dedication and you yourself. Thanks very much. The answer is I read a lot. I follow the news. I actually have Google News Alerts program. So whenever there's stuff that triggers in the keywords that I'm looking for, I get I gotta like it's like my email gets vomit all over it from Google. It's Google vomit. I get tons and tons of email to review, and actually, I'm due for another what's it called, newsletter. If you want to get, I'm trying to get into the habit of sharing a lot of the interesting news that I come across, and doing that by way of a newsletter. If you want to go there, go to ASKaTrafficCOP.ca, and you can see the sign up for the newsletter there. I think you can also on Instagram, if you follow me there, it'll also send you an invite and say, hey, you want to get the newsletter? Because that automagical thing that it does. So you can sign up for that, and we're going to start having a regular newsletter. Let's see here. Jarv wants to know if cops chase in Calgary, and I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's such a controversial thing. Here's the problem. If you chase someone for minor offenses and it results in someone getting hurt, do you want that? Do you want that as the cop? Do you want to get sued? Why? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to hurt anybody, despite popular belief that cops are these big bad meanies that just want to inflict pain on the public. No, they want to hold people accountable, but pushing people past the limits and putting the public at harm's way, not the goal. Let's see here. Droner Wayne says, good evening, Droner Wayne. We've got, let's see here, Wicked, who says, 154.1, where the highway has been divided into clearly marked lanes for traffic. And this is HTA 154.1. Why am I not seeing? I see. I think it's been amended. I think it's being the other word that I can't think of, but not revoked. But I'm looking up 150. I'm in Shield Basic, and I see 151 sub A, like 151, 151, 154. So 154 sub 1 sub A. I see sub B, where it's use center lane improperly. Fail to obey same lane sign. But I don't see the one like the word. It might be a different wording, because the nice thing about the HTA is there's a framework. And because short form wording isn't provided, doesn't mean you can't lay the charge, but it's being removed that I can see. But I'd love to have this conversation. We should talk. Drew says, I have expired plates from 2023, but I have insurance. How come cops don't pull me over? In Ontario, it's because they are not looking at the ALPR, or they're not running plates. See, it used to be really easy, and the Ontario government screwed it all up by taking away the decals, because we drive behind you, see it was invalid, and pull you over. That was the number one ticket written. The Ontario government screwed it all up, because now we rely on technology, because we cannot run every plate. I have a buddy that could tell you at 4 car lengths whether or not the vehicle had the correct month and year on it, because there is a pattern as to which color and which side the color bar was to the number, and he knew it all at a glance. I never knew it. I didn't care. Not the same way he did. He was extra. He's the best. He's my partner. But men knew his stickers. And that's why it's just too much going on. They can't run every single plate, which is why the Ontario government then had to pony up $1 gazillion to buy cameras for everybody that would read the plates. How do radar guns detect speed? So radar guns are, first of all, we don't use a lot of radar anymore. But effectively, a radar beam is transmitted. It is reflected off of the vehicle that is traveling or being targeted. And based on the amount of time it takes for that signal to return, it is capable of determining speed. And depending if it's a complicated device that calculates based on the movement of your vehicle for moving radar, or static radar, which are the simple guns. But nobody uses it anymore except for moving radar that's in vehicles. What they use is a LiDAR device, laser. And laser is much more fun and much less harmful to your innards while you're holding it. It transmits a light signal, which bounces off a vehicle, which is very accurate. Because it's targeting a specific, the beam is actually hitting your vehicle. We can see it through the scope and bouncing back, and we can see based on the amount of time and the change in multiple readings, we can see how fast you're going. Because it's basically measuring distance. You're 1 meter away, you're 1.5 meters away, you're 3 meters away, you're 8 meters, and the difference in the calculation in split seconds calculates speed. But you can also use it for just measuring it. You can get for like 60 or $100, I think, on Amazon, a golf rangefinder that will do speed. It's the same technology, not as accurate. Maybe it's as accurate, not for court. Anyway, radar is a little different. You have to have a little more training to understand it because it's not just something you're pointing at. It's a much wider beam that covers more vehicles, and it becomes the largest and fastest vehicle that it's reading. It's more, but that's effectively what it is. It's got a transmitter and a receiver, effectively, and with laser, it's a lens that's emitting and receiving, and it's doing some math. Oh, actually, a much better example, a much better explanation, and it wasn't until I read Doppler effect from Wicked that, yes, Doppler effect, there's a, yes. I'm not going to try and teach that, but Doppler effect, I can't remember the discussion, but my explanation was more accurate for LiDAR than it was for radar, because it's a change. There's more to it than what I was describing. Fortunately, I'm no longer writing tickets and I'm not using radar. So I can't testify anymore. I got to go read I have my manuals. I got to go reread it so I feel better about it. Bobby Branzino, thanks for the follow. Can you enter an HOV dotted line to overtake in slower No. That's Clean District Auto Detailing asking the question, and the answer is absolutely not, my friend. You're not. First of all, there's a sign prohibiting the passing or crossing of those lines except in the dotted line area. Well, you're talking about using it as a passing lane, which is not what it's for. It's misuse of that lane. I had to reread your question. You're saying just bumping in and bumping out in the dotted line. It's not a passing lane. It's not even a fast lane. It's just another lane that if you qualify to use it. So if you're entering it and you don't qualify for the use, it's a problem because you're not supposed to be there. Jarv wants to know about RCMP. What about RCMP? And thank you, Wicked, who's clarifying more about Doppler shift. And I'm trying to remember, but I cannot remember. Doppler, the example of Doppler is how, when someone's driving by a fast car, that's Doppler. But I can't remember the details of the Doppler business to give you a better example. So I was accurate for LiDAR, or at least I would say more accurate to LiDAR, less accurate on the description of how radar works. Because it's more about how the signal shifts. And that's what Wicked was talking about. This is why you requalify on things on a regular basis. Free Marlow Chip. Big discussion on Facebook about people driving slow during winter snowfalls. Example, doing 60 and 100. That's what they're supposed to do. No one should be doing 100 in a snowfall. We talk about all of these collisions. A friend of mine was talking about big multi-car collisions. Why are they happening? People are driving too fast for the snow conditions or for the driving conditions. If people slowed down, there would be fewer collisions. There'd be certainly fewer fatalities. Lunarfield says, thanks, Sean, for the great info exchanges. Your lives are always fun and informative. Thank you so much, Lunar. Wonder Jones Production says, thanks so much. I think accessibility permits are not allowed during rush hour periods. Confusing. You see, during a rush hour period, it ceases to be a no parking zone and starts to become a no stopping, no standing zone. Ivan wants to know pathways to SWAT. SWAT is the Special Weapons and Tactics Team. I believe it's although many services call their tactical units SWAT. I think that originated at the LAPD, but we have an ETF, Emergency Tactical. What is it? The hell is it now? Oh, come on! I'm having a mental moment. What is it called? ETF. What's the F stand for? Oh, come on. Come on, don't fail me now. Toronto. Task Force. I don't know why they want to say force. Force is a bad word. ETF. Emergency Task Force. Okay. But But other places, like or the Ontario Provincial Police call it the True Team. Like there's different names for everything. Same thing, tactical units. So what's the pathway? Become a cop, learn to be a cop. Once you determine you want to be in a tactical team, have no fat on your body, run for days. You train like an animal. My buddy went. He's now he's a bomber. He's no longer a tactical team. Well, he's part of the ETF, but he's a bomb technician. It was amazing how much work he was doing physically unto himself. He was a machine. It's so much more than you think. So you have to be a specimen, and you've got to have a good basis in being your job as a policeman first. And you don't just apply and get in. You have to train, go into a tax school for I think it's a couple weeks or maybe even 6 months. They try you out. Like it's so specialized. You don't just apply and get in. Why were radar detectors illegal but reporting cops on Waze isn't? One is specifically reporting speed detection or speed enforcement. The other one is reporting the presence of police who might be there for other reasons. Just be there. It could be good. The big thing is you can't interfere with speed enforcement. That's what's illegal. But I'm glad that they're illegal. They should not be legal. Oh, Clean District Auto Detailing says not speeding in the HOV lane, but just to get in front of cars that are going slower. It's not a passing lane. Could you go in that lane if you qualified to be in it and get out again? Technically, I suppose you could, but that window, that dotted line is so short. You would be crossing over the lines that you're not allowed to cross. At which point you'd be breaking law, disobeying a sign. Okay. LiDAR is what they had us. LiDAR is what they had us for, and they stated 550 meters away. That's pretty much. That's really far. Now, this is what's going to court. You're going to court on the LiDAR ticket. At 550 meters, the questions you want to ask that officer are how wide is the beam at 550 meters? Because that beam gets wider, right? The farther away from the officer's device it goes. It gets to the point where it's reading beyond that of a single vehicle, right? Now I'm curious. I don't remember the calculation, so I'm going to look it up on the web. Hang on one second. From a laser speed measuring device. I can't remember the math on it. I have to look it up, but I'm 1 to 2 meters wide, roughly. This is ChatGPT's answer, so take it with a grain of salt. According to ChatGPT, at 550 meters from the laser speed measuring device, that would be 1 to 2 meters wide. Is it plausible? Is it possible? Could it be, maybe, that's wide enough that a vehicle beside you that could have been going faster than you could have given a speed that was not the speed that you were going? If you were the only car on the road, you're still cooked. If there was any other car on the road, maybe you got a chance. This is my good deed for the day. Go Jays wants to know why I left the Toronto Police Department. The Toronto Police Service. Their service. I left for family reasons. I'm needed at home. Stanley says, I live outskirts of Caledon, got a badges. I don't know what that is. Bagor says, hey. Wicked says it's called speed relative to conditions, guys. You need to adapt to the weather. 100%. If it rains, you should be doing 10 under the limit. The speed limit is based on ideal conditions. Ollie, push my trolley. How you doing? The question is, what happens if you pull over or arrest someone you know you can still handle that case? I'm not picking up what you're putting down. What do you mean? Matt wants to know if I'm retired. I left the police service. I retired from policing, but I am not retired. I don't just count, ceiling tiles. BK one-on-one asks if I hate those First Amendment auditors when you were still police. I kind of hate them even when I'm not police because they waste police resources, they harass police, and for what? They should get jobs. Some of them are just YouTubers trying to get views, but I don't hate them. I hate what they're doing. They're wasting time. Now, I have no problem if they're uncovering bad cops. If they're identifying bad cops, cops that are doing the wrong thing, criminal cops. I don't want criminal cops. I want them to be found out. But most of them are just wasting people's time and scaring people, especially the ones in the States that are walking around open carry with ARs going, I'm just, using my rights. And people are calling in because they're scared because there's a dude with a gun. And they're like, well, I'm allowed to do it. I'm like, good for you. Like, this is stupid. But people watch it and they get views for it, so they're going to keep doing it. Let's see here. 05 Iraqi says, did you work for the OPP or other? I worked for Toronto when I was a cop. Bagor says, hey, can I get a ticket if I forgot to bring the correct insurance pink slip? As long as it's a valid pink slip, it's a pink slip. You're showing proof of insurance. It may not be, like I remember at the police callers, they said, as long as they provide proof of insurance, even if it's not for that vehicle, they were saying they proved the card. You can't give them a ticket for the card. Okay, so that's a $65 ticket. I can still research and figure out if you have insurance for that car, because if you don't have insurance for the vehicle, it's an uninsured vehicle, then the owner or person responsible for that vehicle can still be charged for permitting it to be on the road. And you have 3 years as a police officer. You have 3 years to lay that charge. So you might get out of the $65 ticket for not having the pink slip. However, you may not avoid the $25,000, $5,000 to $25,000 fine if you don't have insurance on the vehicle. But if the vehicle is insured, any insurance slip should get you past that. And if you still got the ticket, you could probably get through in court. Cargo 1010 says, got my at-home interview tomorrow, and they're so pumped. Good luck to you. And that's awesome. What service? That's good to hear. Like, I'm glad things are going well for you. Let's see here. Winning. The other one is used for narrowing down the ETA. Not sure exactly where they're going, but it's funny. Do I have to roll down my window all the way when I'm pulled over, or can I just crack it a little bit? You need to be able to facilitate or allow for reasonable communication. An officer isn't going to talk to you through a slit. And why? Why wouldn't you? Why would you be just trying to instigate or escalate things? Just open the window. If there's a belief that there's something going on, then like that you're trying to hide something, you're just going to make the officer want to know more. And eventually they're going to probably pull you out of the car through the window that they smash. Depends on where it goes, but I've seen it happen. I don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Can I extend wheels on my car, and by how much? Can I also tilt the angles? You want to know about you want to change the angle at which the tire hits the road. More than a very small percentage, which people do, more than a very small percentage would likely become illegal very quickly. And you just don't want that, because the vehicle is not meant, the tire is meant to be on the flat spot. You do this to the tire, you're now running on the edge, and it's not safe. So it's going to be an unsafe vehicle more likely than not. And extending the wheels, they have to be covered by fender or fender flare. So no, they can't protrude beyond that of the vehicle. Brett, thanks for the follow. Lizzie on TikTok, what was the question about the beam? Oh, the question was, they have a ticket for speeding. They were alleged to have been, or the husband was alleged to have been doing 100 and a 70. And the discussion was, what can they do to defend themselves or ask questions in court? Someone had suggested that they asked the question of when was the device calibrated? Well, officers don't calibrate these. They're calibrated at the manufacturer, and they're tested to ensure they're working properly. Tested before and after use. So when they later on mentioned that they were recorded, or the speed was recorded at 550 meters away, triggered a memory to say, hey, how far? You should ask the officer if they know the math on how wide the beam is at 550 meters. I didn't even remember. I had to look it up. But it's 1 to 2 meters as a guesstimate. And at that point, 1 to 2 meter wide beam, you're no longer a pinpoint of the license plate. You're now potentially covering more than the vehicle. And at the angle in which they're pointing at the road might be getting the vehicle beside them. And that's what you need. You need that potential oops where the officer can't answer it, and he might get off the ticket. But they're also adamant that they weren't speeding. So, that, when you're absolutely not speeding, like if you know you're not speeding or committing an offense, those are the people that deserve to get off the ticket when they're wrongfully accused. If you're guilty, you're guilty. I don't want to help you get off the ticket. But if you're legitimately being charged for something that you didn't do, then that's it. Margs has some kind of fetish about headset dents. What's this? Tracy's talking to Unite, or Unite's asking if 140 kilometers an hour is a traffic offense. They don't know that. If they didn't know that was an offense, they should not be driving. Turn in your license. The Thursday says, when turning right at an intersection, should they wait for the car in the left before turning? Should they wait for the car in the left lane before turning? When turning right at an intersection, should they wait for the car in the left lane before? I'm not picking up what you're putting down, my friend. I don't understand your question, which is, it happens. Okay. Matt Teliakos. Matt Teliakos. Good name. I don't think I pronounced it right. Is Alberta making their own police force? Do you know? I don't know. Surrey, BC made a police service. I think they created their own. I don't know about Alberta. They have the RCMP, so are they making their own? They have Alberta sheriffs. I don't know more. But I want to. Oh, excuse me. Apparently it's late 10:35. My, oh my. I got up early this morning. I get up early on most mornings. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, so they're discussing turning right at a red light. Do they have to wait for the other vehicle turning left? I'm not sure if I can get that. Maybe they clarify again. Only push my trolley. Is there a conflict of interest if you know the person you pull over? Aha. So if you've met the person, or are you friends with them, or like, if I know you, if I pull you over, I pulled over my neighbor years ago for a cell phone, and I chose to give them a break because they lived across the street from me, and I've trick-or-treated with my kids at their house. And I just didn't want to go there. And I chose to say, I'm not going to do it. I said, don't put me in a position where I should ever have to do this again. You're getting the one and only warning, because it was going to be uncomfortable. But it was funny because I'm looking at it, like, that address looks familiar. I'm like looking at him funny because I didn't know him. I just knew where he lived because my address was like across the street. Anyway, if I actually had a personal relationship with somebody, I would disclose that. I would call for a sergeant. I would explain my situation. I would explain my evidence. Like, everything would be questioned at that point, right? And for transparency, I wouldn't let them go. I would still take them into custody if it was an arrestable offense, but I would call a sergeant immediately. And it would all be on camera nowadays with body camera, but I've never been in that situation. I've had someone come into custody that I went to high school with, and I'm like, I know that guy. That's really weird. Yeah. I was a supervisor in courts before I was a cop. Mr. Steak, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you. let's see here. Nixa says, thanks for your service and to the community and the country. Thank you. Thank you for the thank you. I appreciate it. Captain Hack, tell me about rear-facing radar. What would you like to know about rear-facing radar? Moving radar can have an antenna in the front, an antenna in the back. It can measure you coming or going, like approaching or departing from the antenna. What's there to tell you? I'm not sure what you want to hear or what you're looking for in particular. Green Daddy says, did you see the cars launch off the flyover in Kitchener the other day? I didn't see the video, but I saw the packed up ramp. And I'm like, oh, who didn't see that coming? That ramp should have been closed without a question. And for that not to have been writing on the wall saying this is going to happen before it happened, I don't understand. Like, and why hasn't happened? Why has it not happened every year? Who screwed up and didn't do what they were supposed to do? I imagine that it's going to be a hell of a lawsuit. Yeah, it's going to be bad for somebody. When did I retire? I left the police service in August of 2024. Lizzie, you're very welcome. They say thanks for re-answering the beam question. How do you prove you weren't speeding, though? You can't prove that you weren't speeding. You can raise doubt that the information or the reading was yours. You can't say definitively, I was not speeding, because you didn't record it. If you had a dash camera with a radar-enabled unit that actually recorded your speed and you were to hit save and have a recording of you past that section and it said 70 kilometers in a 70, you would have evidence to surrender. You don't have that, I'm assuming, which means that you only have your ability to raise doubt or a reasonable explanation as to how the officer may have also been right, but wrong. Because there's no question in my mind that officer pressed the button on their machine and got a reading that said 100, and they said, that's the car. But it's possible that they didn't do it right. It's possible they had a mistake. All you have to do is raise that doubt with the trier of facts. I have given perfect evidence. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I have given perfect evidence. I pulled that gentleman over. He was driving a car. I saw him holding in his phone or a device in his right hand. He was articulating what looked to be a screen with his right thumb. And when I approached the vehicle, I saw the screen illuminated. And you know what the Justice of the Peace said? The officer gave really great evidence, and I have no doubt that he is correct. And the defendant, who said that they were just looking at their wallet, also gave really good evidence. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the person with the wallet that happened to be a glowing telephone. You never know what you're going to get. Jimbo says, hey, Sean, I got a ticket for failure to provide a valid license after leaving my license at home. It happens. If you don't surrender a license upon request of an officer, upon demand of an officer, you get a ticket for it. I thought I was able to bring proof within many hours, but wasn't given the option. You do not have that. That is not the opportunity. You have committed the offense at the moment that you failed to surrender it, because that's where you're supposed to surrender it. You're obligated to have it then and there. Forgetting it home sucks. Sometimes that's a warning, and sometimes it's not. Depends on the officer and how they roll. But it's not. There's no policy of, or it could be a policy, or it could be an individual officer's discretion. But I usually gave that ticket. Now, granted, I usually gave that ticket and then probably didn't give them the 15 over ticket because, I was being nice once in a while. But that depends on who you get. Hey, Sean, why are there cops at intersections with lights that work? Depends what they're there for. I don't know. Maybe it's an escort for a funeral. Maybe they're not always there because the device fails. They might be there helping to move traffic to clear out stuff after a baseball game. Now, very often, like back in the day, I had a key. I unlocked the box. I turned off the lights and I ran the intersection. Tends to be more dangerous to do that more often than not. Now, people are, rather than touching the computers, which can screw up and break. And my buddy Honger and I were stuck in an intersection for hours and waiting for them from Guild to come and reset the box because I hit the button and I hit it again and I screwed up the box. My fault. I'm sure it's my fault. I was told it was my fault. Don't touch the machine. So it's become the habit and a better plan to support the the traffic lights, wait for them to turn red. Everyone stops and they just keep it going beyond that. It's safer, or it's thought to be safer. Da, 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 da. I'm not sure what Caranto's talking about. No question. Just B Pen, thanks very much. Says no question. Just wanted to say I appreciate your work. Thank you. Thank you. Oatsy says, you look familiar. I've been on the internet for like 5 years. You may have seen a video of mine. Jimbo says, even though he took my info, looked me up, and found out I had a valid. Yes, it's not about having a valid license. It's about having the card as required by law to surrender it upon demand. The fact that he can do homework and figure out who you are is not the work he signed up for. It's not the work that he should be wasting on you. You have to have your license. You have to surrender it upon demand, period. B-Pen says, why are you a former cop? Was it your choice? You seem like the lad. We need policing our community. Well, thank you very much, B-Pen. It was my choice. It was a tough choice. It was a choice I had to make for family reasons because my family needed me. And not a day goes by that I don't think about it. But I did the right thing. I left for the right reasons. Family is the most important thing. And I get to take my kids to school every day, and I get to pick them up from school every day, and I get to be the dad they need. And that's important because you never know what's going to happen. So you got to be there for your family. But I was driving 3 hours a day and leaving at the crack of dawn, coming back, and it wasn't working for various reasons. So I did what I did, and I still think it's the right thing. Okay. Rose says, I got pulled over by a cop who stated it looked like you were texting. My phone was on my dash. Okay. Did they give you a ticket for it, or they just investigated you? If they saw you and had sufficient evidence to lay the charge, they likely would have. If they were just seeing your phone on the dash, like it has to, if your phone is mounted and you're not touching it, there's nothing there. But maybe they thought they saw something and they were going to test out the theory. Did they lay a charge, Rose? Let's see here. Green Daddy says, I'd pull over my buddies for fun. This is for charging someone you know. Have I ever written a cop another cop a ticket? That's BB7074 asking. I have not. I've pulled over officers who were on duty, unmarked vehicles, doing things that would have gotten a civilian a ticket, but they were actively working as police officers, and the phone was in relation to their duty, because undercover officers are officers who are utilizing vehicles that don't have computers in them. They use their service-issued phones for searching and looking up vehicles and whatnot. They can run plates and so on. What are the fatal flaws in a ticket to get it thrown out? That's Chelsea asking. I like that you're using fatal flaws as the terminology. It means you know stuff and things. But fatal flaws, I've seen things that I would have thought were fatal flaws. I've seen them amended in court. Usually it's stuff like the name being correct, the date of birth being accurate, the driver's license information, the tombstone data. But I've seen it amended. It all depends. It all depends on who's asking and what the charges are and the severity of them. I've seen the wildest stuff get amended. Like the name was right, but the license plate was wrong. But in the evidence in the back, it was correct. So they said, Your Worship, I made an error on the front of the ticket. It's correct in the back. It was an oversight. Could we amend that ticket? I've seen them do it in court. So I don't know what's fatal anymore. Green Daddy wanted to know when I go live from the looks of it. And Tracy says he's on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. and Wednesday evenings at 9. Now, I got a little overtime tonight, and I don't mind that I did because I'm here for you. But it's generally 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, generally 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. But I'm also interested in knowing if there's a better time. I used to go live like at 6 or 7 in the morning on weekdays, and it was insane. We had like hundreds of people in the live stream. Is that the right time? Is that better for people? Maybe 10 o'clock is too late. I don't know. 10 o'clock's been low lately. Maybe it's not the right time. Now, I know how I got to 10 o'clock. I used to go earlier, and then at 9 o'clock, which was like I would do 8 o'clock, but then Jerry Agar would go on live at 9, and at 9:30, I'd jump into his live stream. He'd jump into mine. We'd be on the radio until 10 o'clock. And then he stopped going live. He stopped being on the radio at 9 o'clock and started going to a 10 o'clock spot. Well, if I wanted to be able to connect with him on a regular basis, I went live at 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. And then we would do 10:35. He'd jump onto my show. I'd jump onto his. But I think everybody's at work now at 10 o'clock and the audience isn't there. So I want to find the time that's best for the audience. The radio audience, says Jerry. I'll still go on live with him at 10:35 when he wants me to. But I want to make sure I'm online for people who want questions asked. By the way, nobody has jumped on live. You can ask to be on the show. We could bring you in. You can actually do that now. I had like 5 or 6 people on the live on TikTok last time I was up. I didn't bother mentioning it, but no one's asked. It's wild. All right, let's see what's it. Here. Tracy wants to know if cops still do escorts for funerals. It's less so. Like usually it's dignitaries and in special cases. They used to do it for everybody, but it's actually a high-risk situation. I think they had too many crashes related to it. Is ALPR, automatic license plate readers, enrolled in all cruisers? I don't think every service across the province has it, but the majority of them do. How long were you in? I was a member of the service for 24 years. I joined in 2000. And I did a number of different jobs within the police service before I was a police officer. I was an auxiliary police constable, which is a volunteer. 6 months later, I became a part-time court officer. Then I was a sergeant with first I was a sergeant with the auxiliary first. And then I was a supervisor within court services. And then I became a police officer. Rose says he investigated her for the phone, realized the phone was mounted, and was confused when I pointed to my phone. Good stuff. Gurpreet says, hey, thank you for your service, my guy. Hey, what's going on? I think it was Gurpreet who may have been on the live stream. Was it you? Because he called me my guy. This is why I think it may have been him. Tracy says, I don't remember you ever going on at 6 or 7. Maybe it was 8 o'clock then. But it was early. So I was coming in early. I started my day at 6 o'clock every morning. I was getting up at 4:30 or 5. I don't know. Early. Did you enjoy appearing for court for traffic disputes? I absolutely did, Ken B. I loved going to court. And I remember a buddy of mine, a guy from the motor squad, was in court when I was about to go up and testify. We were on a recess. And he says, hey, do you want me to leave the courtroom when it's time for you to testify? I'm like, why? He goes, well, some people have a real thing about being like listened in on. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I live stream. I'm fine with it. Let's see here. Nick wants to know, intersection, the red hand counting, why doesn't it go yellow when it hits 0? It's just timing stuff. The countdown is specifically to let pedestrians know how much time they have to exit the intersection. It doesn't mean you can still go through. You can't enter on a countdown. It's to let the people already in the intersection know how much time they have left. LB122725. Front and rear dash cams, are they worth it? Have you ever seen a case having a dash cam hurt the owner? I've never seen a case hurt the owner. I know it happens. It's evidenced against someone when they're guilty. I have a front and rear facing dash camera. I would not feel comfortable driving without it. In fact, I had a dash cam fail. I ordered a new one. It was like Black Friday. It was sitting on my dining room table. I had not installed. And guess what? I got rear-ended by a taxi cab on the DVP on the way home. I wished I had it. I will never drive without one again. Lizzie on TikTok says, I saw a speed trap today, but hundreds of cars. What's the logic? Like hundreds of cars stopped, hundreds of cars on the road. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Was it a speed trap for sure, or they just pulled over doing something? I don't know. All right. Oh, it was a busy street. I don't know either. What street was it? What area? I am curious. Oh, he had a radar gun. Okay. Well, laser. Spoon wants to know what microphone. This is a Shure SM7B. It's a legendary microphone. It's got that great. So I'm not even talking right into it to get that real deep go, but I'm just. It's a fantastic microphone. I love it to death. I have a couple of them. I have pod mics. I have a microphone addiction is what I have. Lizzie says it was Sure Way. I'm not sure why they were there, what they were doing, but it could be something like maybe they're having a problem specifically there. Bands wants to know if Toronto police still condones in karting, conducts karting. So karting was one of the things that a judge reviewed and ultimately came back and said it shouldn't be done. I, for one, think karting is a great thing. People will disagree with me. But if you see someone who's doing some stuff in an area where stuff is happening, making a note about it is not a bad thing. Now, they still do interact with people, and if the officers want to talk to people and they have an intention of writing it down, they have to actually say, I want to talk to you, and is it okay that I write this down? And if you don't want me to write it down, like, you can leave. But it really changes the way investigations take place. There have been murders that have been solved as a result of karting. So I don't think it's a bad thing if it's not abused. LP says, not a traffic question, but I've been seeing a lot more spas. We'll call it spas in my neighborhood. Depending on the jurisdiction, there might be licensing standards. There used to be something called the Morality Squad in Toronto. That's the kind of unit that would have investigated that. If you're seeing, undesirable behavior, things that might be criminal, if you think it's illegal activity, maybe drugs or human trafficking related, call the police. Report it, what your concerns are. William wants to know my opinion on Ford getting rid of speed cameras. I think it was an idiotic thing to do. I've called him out. I wrote an article in the Globe and Mail about it. I did not pull any punches. I said he traded traffic safety for votes. I absolutely believe he did. I testified in court, not court. I testified in city. What the heck's it called? Town hall, whatever it was. In town of Vaughan, city of Vaughan. I testified. With a large number of people from different groups that wanted to save the traffic cameras. And the mayor there, who is probably a lovely guy, but he was also interested in trading votes for safety. And everyone knows that the speeds have gone up in school zones since we've gotten rid of those cameras. So it was a dumb move by both the mayor of Vaughan and the premier of Ontario. And I will tell that to their faces. In fact, I've had a number of Twitter back and forths with the mayor. He says we have to agree to disagree, and I'm like, no, we don't. You're wrong. I'm right. Anyway, what's your favorite patrol vehicle you worked with? I like the Crown Vic the most, mostly because I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'5", and even even with the SUVs, my knee was up against the center console. I didn't like it. It was less comfortable, but I liked getting in it instead of climbing down into the car. My favorite was the Cruiser, and by Cruiser, it's the Harley Davidson Electra Glide. That was my favorite vehicle to run with. Bands wants to know, why does karting usually target marginalized communities? It doesn't. And the number one carded person in Toronto was white. Just the person who had been carded the most. You're going to blanket police presence in areas that have crime. And I don't know what you're saying. When you're saying marginalized, I assume you're trying to suggest it was racially motivated. Crime motivated. They send a ticket. Can they send a ticket in the mail as the driver, not the... Oh, so Lizzie, parking tickets can be sent by mail. Red light cameras, previously speed cameras, automated enforcement, that can be sent by mail, but not a ticket. Like if I as an officer were to have seen you doing something, I could positively identify the driver. I believe that it was them who I was going to charge. I could issue a ticket after the fact within 6 months. And you could have another member of service or a service member from another service issue the ticket on your behalf, like serve it. John wants to know if traffic calming works just as well in a place of traffic cameras. I don't think so. There are these traffic pillows, I think they're called, like these mounds. They're not true speed bumps. I've experimented with these. You can go real fast over them. Just saying. I mean, there are things that would do, but okay, let's say we put hardcore speed bumps in. So two things are true. One, they're annoying. I hate them. Why do I have to get punished? Someone who does not speed. Why do I have to go over a speed bump when I could have just gone over or done the speed limit? But because some people like to speed but don't like getting tickets, I have to go over speed bumps. Why? I also like the fact that we're taking money from people. I honestly believe that if you're going to choose to break the law, you don't deserve the money. You're voluntarily contributing to our community, and it does help pay for police service, police officers, programs in the community. The money goes to good places. So now we have some speed humps that don't really slow anybody down. Occasionally, you have enough officers on the road that you can put someone there to help and monitor the area. And you're still going to have people going way too fast, but no money to support the programs. Or I like the money coming in. Tax the people who break the law. What was this? It's Aiden says, well, I was just watching your drive test book video on YouTube a week ago. I just passed my G1. Well, awesome. Glad to hear it. And thank you for bringing up the G1 video. It's a project I started and have not completed, and I need to go back and finish the book. So I was and will be reading the rest of the handbook, the driver's handbook in Ontario. I want to finish that project. It's bugging me that I haven't. My wife is reminding me that I have to do it, which really means I have to do it. But I'm glad that you got your G1. Congratulations. That's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your experience. Hopefully I have the whole book for you in the next month or so. Yes. I like that. Tracy says, speed cameras are needed. If you're speeding in a school zone, you are the problem. Josh wants to know if it's legal to have a lowered car. It's legal, depends. If you have a vehicle that's lowered legally and lawfully and safely and done by a mechanic and still within the realm of, approved for safety on the road, no problem. If you've dropped the car and you have no play, and if you turn the wheels to the left and right, you got body rub with tires or frame rub with tires, that vehicle's off the road. William says, why are drivers in Brampton so terrible? It's facts. You always see Brampton drivers in the news. There are people who are in Brampton that don't live in Brampton. There are people who are in Toronto that are from Brampton. There's bad drivers everywhere. Not everybody is Brampton, or Brampton isn't the ultimate. But I will tell you one thing about Brampton in particular. The roads are like super highways. Everything is so wide there. There's so many lanes. And I think people go faster in that environment. John thinks that rich folks can speed because they can afford to pay their tickets. I don't agree. I mean, people of all kinds speed. The impacts on their lives are different. Tessa Wolf Girl says, I hate speed bumps. They agree 100%. ALPRRH, what do off-duty officers feel about speeders? I don't know. I hate them. I don't like speeders on duty, off duty. I retired. Nothing's changed. I don't like people who are going fast because I know that speed kills. I know that you're not getting anywhere any faster, but you're increasing your risk and everyone else's. John says, thanks, Mr. Shapiro. Good night. Good night. Good night. I have gone way longer. I'm 2 hours now. I'm going to say good night too. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. Parked car hit in parking lot. Driver fled, but witnesses got info, and there's a vid. Any charges? Probably. Well, failed to remain. Yes. If they fled, failed to remain charges would likely be led, even if it was investigated after the fact. Likely. All right. It has been. Oh. Are you going to finish your read aloud series? I need you. That's Caitlin Burrell. Burrell. Anyway, yes. I was just talking about that. Your timing is impeccable. So, yeah. I'm saying good night. It's been a slice. It's 11 o'clock. I've been here since 9. And that means I need to go have a coffee and do other stuff. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and reach out if you got stuff you want to ask. You can also go to ASKaTrafficCOP.ca. You can join me there. Follow me on all the social media platforms. And I do this Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Now, I am traveling next week. I hope to be able to maintain a schedule. I might be TikTok only living next week. That's my largest audience. I will repost it elsewhere. I will repost it on the other platforms if I don't go live on them. The reason I say I may not go live anywhere but TikTok is because I don't know what my internet connectivity is. I'm going to be in areas that are possibly less conducive for streaming. I may be streaming from my telephone. So that's my story. That's my thing. I wish you all the best this time until I see you next. So without further ado, my outro music. Just because I got to press a button. We'll talk to you soon, guys. And thanks. Thanks for hanging out. See you, Tracy. Thanks for all your help.